On Tech News today, Amazon unveils a new delivery drone. A major toy company got hacked, and we'll tell you why Blackberry is pulling out of Pakistan. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Monday, November 30th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a low-cost automated investment service that's the most sophisticated way for you to invest your money. Whether you've got millions or just starting out, visit wealthfront.com/TNT to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. That's wealthfront.com/TNT. And by Gazelle, the online marketplace for buying and selling used gadgets. Shop from a variety of certified pre-owned electronics or trade one in for cash. Give a new life to a used device. Visit Gazelle.com today. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan, and our co-anchor today is CNET.com editor-in-chief Lindsey Turrentine. How you doing, Lindsey?
I'm doing great, Mike. I am here in Berkeley, freezing.
Yeah,
it's so cold that I had to put slippers on.
It's freezing here. It's very, very cold, unseasonably cold. Of course, it is almost December, but still, it's very, very cold. So how was your Thanksgiving holiday?
It was fantastic, full of food and family, the way it should be.
Yeah.
How was yours?
I am also full of food and had a lot of time with family. I've been eating leftovers since Thursday. And that is just heaven on earth as far as I'm concerned. I love it. So a very, very great weekend. So why don't we jump into the news now that Monday has struck? Our top story is that hackers broke into a major Chinese toy company called VTech and gained access to the personal information of nearly 5 million parents and some 200,000 kids. Lorenzo Franceschi-Bicchierai is a staff writer for Vice Motherboard and joins us now. Welcome to the show, Lorenzo.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show. What kind of information was compromised here?
A bunch of personal information. As far as the parents are concerned, it was full names, email addresses, their passwords, which were technically encrypted, but not really. It was trivial to crack them. So as far as we're concerned, their passwords as well, their home addresses, and as far as the kids, their first names, their birth dates, and it was possible to link the kids back to their parents. So, effectively their last names and locations as well.
Now, Lorenzo,
a lot of stuff.
The hackers brought this information to you and to Motherboard and Vice. Did you confirm whether or not this information has made it out beyond this hacker's communication with you? Are the addresses of these kids exposed to anyone other than you? Is there any way to know that?
No, I mean, as far as I know, there's no, this information could just be in the hands of this hacker and myself, and the researcher, Troy Hunt, which I shared it with. But that being said, the problem here is that it was so easy to get this information, according to the hacker, and the researcher as well. confirmed that, he made a cursory review of the systems, and he said that, without breaking into them, the researcher said, it was probably pretty easy for anyone that knew where to look to find this data. So we can't say whether this data was out, if somebody else exfiltrated it. Hopefully not, but we just don't know at this point.
Now, of course, people are familiar with certain toy companies like Mattel or Hasbro, et cetera. But maybe VTech as a brand isn't all that familiar. How widespread are these toys sold? Are they, for example, sold heavily in the United States?
I'm not sure how big they are in the United States, but they can be found on Amazon.com. A lot of the emails that were in the dump were from the UK, so a lot of people from Europe. The company is based in Hong Kong, but it has affiliates and everywhere. There's VTech Canada, VTech US. It's a big company. It's publicly traded in Hong Kong. I think the revenue is 2.8 billion per year. So it's a fairly large toy company.
Is this the kind of data breach that reaches the level of some of the, like Target style data breaches, or is this really more concerning because of the type of data in the dump? And I guess a related question is, do you think that this is sort of representative of the kinds of hack attacks that could happen with any sort of set of child-parent related information given to companies that, may be smaller than the Mattels of the world, but are there lots of these potential targets out there, is my question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, if we take the hacker at face value, which is, he didn't leak this anywhere else. He didn't publish it. He doesn't intend to sell this data. That's good news for the VTech customers. But I think that the big takeaway here is that even toy companies need to be careful about first of all, what kind of data they collect. Because some researchers in reaction to this news were like, why did you even collect all this data? Why do you need the birth dates and the first names and of the kids? Like, why can't you just why do you if you don't collect this data, you're not going to lose it. So that's the first lesson I think here. The second lesson is that if you do collect this data, then you need to really take care of it, and that means taking care of it as companies like Facebook or Gmail might do. So hiring security experts, hiring security engineers, doing tests and like audits of your own systems, and just making sure that that data is not out there for anybody to find. I mean, yes, this is just a toy company, I guess, and yes, they did not lose credit card information, but they still lost personal information that could be used by a malicious person to do damage. I mean, I have your home address, I have your full name. The data dump actually also included security questions. So for example, if you use the same security question on your email account and your VTech account, I could break into your email account as well. So this is sensitive data. It might not be I can't easily steal your identity with it, but I can do a lot of stuff with it. And companies like this, I mean, on this day and age, everybody's on the internet, and if you sell services or gadgets that are internet facing, you need to take care of this stuff.
Well, the hacker told you that he or she are not going to release this data, and I say that if you can't trust people who steal information, who can you trust?
That's true.
But they can also change their mind later. Now, this kind of thing is interesting in the sense that I don't think anybody was really worried about VTech as a potential risk. But people have been freaking out about Hello Barbie, which is a version of the Barbie doll that will actually record the child's voice. It's uploaded into a remote server, processed, and then as sort of an AI engine puts a response from Barbie back into the doll. And of course, if it's likely that not only Mattel but also companies like Amazon and Google retain the recording of people who interact with their virtual assistant type of applications. I think what this tells us is we're entering into a world where we have to be more savvy as consumers and as parents about what sort of information we're giving to these companies, and to think more intelligently about what the risks are. For example, I personally don't think there's a huge amount of risk. I mean, let's say, for example, hackers could acquire the voices of all the children who used Hello Barbie. Big deal. I think this VTech thing where people can actually find the addresses of the children is a bigger deal than Mattel harvesting questions and interaction, voice interaction by children. But I think we're going to a world where there's all kinds of virtual reality type toys, a lot of internet connected toys, a lot of sign up for this extra stuff type of marketing schemes around toys. And so I think that for parents, you need to be aware of what is really important and what isn't. And as parents, I think the first thing is, you don't want hackers to know the location of your children. I think that's a pretty fundamental thing. I don't know if you have any parting thoughts about the future of toys, children's products, and the security risks around those products.
Well, I think that you touched on a lot of the main issues. Both companies and parents need to be aware of what data they share. Like if you want to sign up your kid for VTech's services so that you can chat with them, or they can have some sort of online interaction. That's fine, but like maybe don't share your home address. Maybe share a fake address if you're worried about it, or use a throwaway email. Do they need your personal email? Maybe not. You can just have maybe you can have a throwaway email that you use for all these services. Just be aware that this data one day might be hacked.
Sage advice. Lorenzo Franceschi-Bicchierai at motherboard.vice.com and on Twitter at LorenzoFB. Lorenzo, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Michael. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye. More news coming right up, but first we want to tell you about Wealthfront, one of our sponsors today. Wealthfront is the way to invest, the modern way to invest, the right way to invest, the low-cost way to invest your money. Of course, investing is a long-term effort if you do it right. It's not a short-term thing. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you want to do it right, Wealthfront is an amazing way to do it. They will charge you far less than traditional investor services will charge you. For example, traditional advisors charge between 1% and 3% of what you've got under management, plus a lot of hidden fees for transactions and various changes. They nickel and dime you. That's their model. And Wealthfront is disrupting that model with vastly lower prices. With Wealthfront, you pay 0.25% a year. That's 25 basis points, 0 commissions. And my favorite part, no hidden fees. They're not going to lure you in with a low price now and then later just sort of nickel and dime you. That's it. You pay with the upfront amount, and that's all you pay. That's less than $5 a month to invest a $30,000 account, and there are no additional charges for any of Wealthfront's services. The way this works is you just sign up for an account at wealthfront.com. In a few minutes, it goes to work and monitors your portfolio around the clock. And as soon as an opportunity arises, it takes action on your behalf. And Wealthfront never sleeps. They're always looking out for your money, and it's transparent and accessible, so you can view all your accounts in a single place. That's very reassuring. You can get a really good, intuitive sense of what's happening with your investments, and that it doesn't matter if they're what kind of investments they are. It could be a personal or joint or retirement, whatever it is. Wealthfront will put it all in one place, manage it very effectively, take a long-term view of managing your money and growing your money, and charge you very little to do it. And that's why Wealthfront is so incredible. Visit wealthfront.com/TNT to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. You'll see the customized allocation they recommend for your profile. And just for Twit listeners and viewers, if you sign up to invest, Wealthfront will manage your first $15,000 entirely free of charge for a year. No. 5 years? No. For life. For life. Claim your offer today at wealthfront.com/TNT. For compliance purposes, I have to tell you that Wealthfront, Inc. is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Brokerage services are offered through Wealthfront Brokerage Corporation, member FINRA, and SIPC. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing in securities involves risks, and there is a possibility of losing money. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Please visit wealthfront.com to read their full disclosure. Amazon revealed a new prototype delivery drone over the weekend. Jay Greene is a business reporter for the Seattle Times and joins us to talk about Amazon's new drone. Welcome to you, Jay.
Hey, Mike.
Now, what's different about the new drone?
Well, first of all, it isn't some kind of cobbled together thing that they put together to show off to 60 Minutes 2 years ago. It's actually a working prototype, and it looks a lot different. Looks a lot like an airplane almost, a little bit of more of a hybrid kind of airplane helicopter looking device.
Some are saying it looks kind of like a bed.
It'd be a very small one, but sure, okay, it's a bed with a headboard and some feet at the bottom. Okay, I could see that.
So this thing, so in addition to the shape of it, which is very unusual, it's very squarish, in terms of how it flies and so on, how is this different from the fake one we saw earlier 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, so the original one, I think it was more concept. They were throwing it out there. They had done some testing and some ideas, but this is actually, it's been 2 years since they put the idea out there. They've been working on it. They've hired a lot of big name folks in the world of drones and aerodynamics to build these suckers. And so this one is actually a real working device. It can fly, according to the video, 15 miles. The idea is that it would fly 400 feet above the ground. So they gave a few more details about how it would work.
So Jay, okay, I love watching this video. And by the way, it's hosted by Jeremy Clarkson. Is that his name? He used to
Gear.
be the star of Top Gear before I think he left under some difficult circumstances.
Lindsey, how can you not know this? It's the most popular show on TV. No,
I do know, but he hosted this. But one of the cool things about this video, and I think the coolest thing about the video is, while it's very funny, and he's very funny, is showing how consumers will tell Amazon where to park the drone. How does that work? Can you describe it?
Well, so that was actually interesting, and I have to concede, I don't know if that's sort of the final way it will work, but in the video, and he didn't even describe this, but in the video they showed the mother of the child who was ordering a pair of soccer cleats. They showed the mother bringing a placard out, maybe the size of a legal sheet of paper or so, with Amazon's logo on it, putting it in her backyard, and then the drone spotted it from 400 feet in the sky, and she said via her Kindle app or her Fire tablet app, it's okay to land, and the drone came out of the sky 400 feet down.
It looks like a giant QR code on your lawn, kind of.
Yeah, that's right. But you'll see, and they're showing the video now here. You'll see that after the package gets released, the customer then picks up the package and the sheet, the little placard with the Amazon logo, and walks away.
I thought that was a really cool idea because before I thought, well, how is this going to work? I mean, come on, this drone is going to, come up to the front porch and toss it onto the, to hit the door or something? How does it know where to land? What's a good place to land? And this is a really common sense idea, which is that it would have some sort of visual recognition system to recognize the special piece of cardboard that Amazon might send to users of this service, and then it would just identify that, drop the package right on it, and go straight up from there. And so there would be some shared kind of responsibility for where the thing lands. If the consumer, for example, places it in the backyard and there's a dog in that backyard and the dog gets injured, well then, why did the consumer put it there? It wasn't Amazon's decision to do that. But it raises another question, which is that another aspect of this video showed that, or Jeremy said, that it knows where to fly. It knows when there's obstacles in the air, and they showed a hot air balloon and how it would avoid the hot air balloon. Does that imply that those two things together, the recognition of the square object and also the avoidance of in-air objects, does it suggest that there's onboard artificial intelligence that's making decisions about navigation?
Yes, I think it doesn't just suggest that. I think Amazon's actually said as much. The big fear, I think, for many consumers, or a big fear, and not just consumers, the big fear for the general public, for Congress who's looking into this, is are our skies going to be, more dangerous with these drones zipping around? And Amazon has developed what they call sense and avoid technology, and Jeremy Clarkson in the video says, sense and avoid technology senses and avoids. We'll see, but I think that's a key piece of this video, is to convey that idea that these things aren't just flying around willy-nilly and will hit trees and birds and hot air balloons and dogs, but they actually have some onboard technology to prevent the sort of accidents that I think some folks are particularly concerned about.
I assume that some consumers will be afraid that the drone won't be smart enough to avoid problems like that. And others may be concerned that artificial intelligence drones are darkening the skies and making decisions on their own.
Yeah, I think that's the big issue. And, Amazon has not said anything to me specifically about this, but I've got to believe what they are thinking is that they're going to have to prove it, right? So they're going to be folks who are early adopters who will love this when eventually it rolls out, and they'll do it, and they'll have to prove that they aren't going to crash into dogs or telephone wires or anything else. And if they don't, the thing will be a disaster and fail. That is if it ever gets off the ground from the start. And I think Amazon's betting it will, and Amazon's betting that, they can actually prove that these things will be safe. And, obviously time will tell.
Yes, it will. And I hope some number cruncher out there, somebody who can calculate and estimate some of the costs involved, could suggest how much this might cost. I'm sure it won't be free with Amazon Prime, because essentially you have your own dedicated aircraft delivering that one package. Those soccer cleats are going to be really, really expensive, I would guess, and it would likely be a premium service. We also don't know exactly how this would work. Is there, in the video that you referenced that came out 2 years ago, they showed the drone picking a package off the assembly line, flying out an open door across the open field that was between the factory and the person's home, and then dropping it on their lawn, which suggests, okay, so they're going to be delivering it from the factory. Probably a more sensible way to do this is to have a truck full of drones to drive into a neighborhood and then have it scatter in multiple directions. That would be more cost effective, more awesome, and also more scary.
Well, I don't think that's the case. So in the original video and even in this new one, they show drones picking up packages at Amazon warehouses, right? Not factories, but warehouses where they store all this stuff. But what's been interesting over the last several years, Amazon's been building more and more warehouses closer and closer to cities. They used to be much more remote, but Amazon is trying to get closer and closer to customers, because the one big advantage, and there may be other ones, but the one big advantage that brick and mortar stores have over Amazon is instant gratification. You go to a store, you pick up a book, a blouse, a pair of shoes, and you get it instantaneously. And that's something Amazon can't compete with. And so increasingly, they're trying to put these things, put their warehouses closer and closer to cities so they can get products to the vast majority of their customers faster and faster. And I'd also suggest the interesting thing is, Mike, you were suggesting that there might be an additional cost to this, and you may be right. But Amazon is calling this Prime Air Now, and that would suggest to me that the delivery would be part of the Prime program, not some additional new premium service. And Amazon has shown a willingness for many years to suck up losses in order to expand its opportunities, its revenues. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they offer this in limited ways initially to try and test out the service and figure out the economics, but do it in a way where the cost isn't greater for a Prime customer.
Now, Jay, we know that Amazon hasn't said yet when this service is going to be available, but you've been following this for a long time and following Amazon very closely and obviously watching what they've done over the last 2 years. What's your best guess for when the first packages will be delivered to customers using this service?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'll hedge a little bit because Amazon needs approval from regulators. And the second that Amazon gets approval from regulators to do this, I suspect they could be up and running very, very quickly. The real issue, right, is when will the FAA and Congress allow this? They seem to be, initially the FAA in particular was very skeptical. Some members of Congress have, started to lean on the FAA, and that they started to change their tune some. So I could imagine after testing and after making sure that they aren't hitting dogs, they aren't hitting telephone lines, they aren't getting in the way of aircraft. If Amazon can get over all of those hurdles, and not just Amazon, by the way, but other commercial uses of drones as well, if they can get over those hurdles, Amazon would be able to start this up very, very quickly, would be my expectation. But I am, not someone who could speculate about when Congress will get around to, or the FAA will get around to approving, this technology, because honestly, I have no idea.
That it'll probably take a lot longer than Amazon wants. That'd be my guess. And I, for one, would, I think that Amazon delivery is already really fast and convenient. I would like to see this technology deployed for making it easier for me to return stuff. Come and get it. Bring your drone over here and pick it up off the lawn. And while you're at it, take the dog as well. All right. Well, Jay Greene is at seattletimes.com and on Twitter at Greene with an E on the end. Jay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Blackberry is pulling out of Pakistan because the government there is requiring the Canadian company to allow the monitoring of customer data traffic. Blackberry says they have and never would allow such government backdoor to customer data. I say slow clap for Blackberry, Lindsey Turrentine. I love it when companies stand up to this kind of thing, and I think a lot of companies will be tested in this way by lots of governments, including the U.S. government and the U.K. government and other governments who are going to want backdoors into the encrypted communication of customers. But I just think this is a very laudatory. I mean, BlackBerry is financially in trouble, and they're still not compromising on security.
This is really interesting. I mean, that's a great marketing move for BlackBerry, for starters, right? Because what BlackBerry is hanging on to is the fact that it is super secure for governments and for businesses. And so this is it's a great chance to get out in front of the public and say, hey, we mean it. We mean what we say. So that's it's a good move for BlackBerry. I think it's interesting that since this was posted today, BlackBerry has updated their post saying that the government has extended its shutdown order from November 30th to December 30th. So BlackBerry will delay its exit until then. And what I am wondering is how much the US government or other governments are involved in this negotiation, because anybody who works for the State Department and travels in Pakistan uses a BlackBerry, I'm sure. Yeah. They probably are freaking out. So I would love to be a fly on the wall in the meetings that are going on about this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Well, the Japanese blog Mako Takara is reporting that the iPhone 7 won't have a headphone jack. Instead, some speculate the phone will use a multi-purpose USB-C port for the earbuds. And it's also possible that Apple may encourage the use of wireless headphones and earbuds. And the reason for removing the audio jack, of course, is to shave 1 millimeter off the thickness of the phone. Lindsey, Turrentine, is Apple insane? Are they putting thinness above everything else?
I'm just not sure that I buy this, actually.
You don't believe the report?
I don't believe it. And there are a couple reasons. I mean, one, the most recent iPhone, the 6S, is actually thicker than its predecessor. Yeah. So Apple doesn't seem to be that concerned about making this thinner. And in fact, there have been, some reports about these phones being a little bendy. So I don't see Apple really going for super thin. And also, I can't imagine Apple making the jack accessible to only a charger or earphones at the same time. Which would presumably be the way this works. Unless
they also embrace wireless charging, which would enable you to listen while it's on the wireless charger. But yeah, I see your point. Yeah, but Apple is obsessed with having the minimum number of jacks. The other thing that some are speculating about is that removing that jack would make it much easier to make the iPhone a lot more waterproof. It's already pretty water resistant. But this could make it a little bit easier to make it waterproof without having a little awkward plug that goes in. So
true. We'll see, won't we?
Yeah, you may be right, and I hope you're not, because I think that'd be kind of cool. But we'll see. All right. Well, we got some more news coming up, but first I want to tell you about Gazelle, our other sponsor today. Gazelle is a great service for buying and selling used devices, but this time of year, it's a really great service. Did it occur to you what a great site Gazelle is for your holiday shopping? How blown away will your family and friends be when you get them a phone or a tablet? And you can do that very affordably on Gazelle because, of course, when you buy from Gazelle, they make sure that every single device they sell to you is in top-notch working order, and they guarantee it. They have a 30-day return policy, and everything is sold without a carrier contract, so you don't have to worry about, are they on AT&T, are they on T-Mobile, whatever. These are unlocked devices, so you can buy them from Gazelle, give them as gifts. If the recipient doesn't like it for whatever, they can return it. You can return it, whatever, but they're going to like it. The price is going to be amazing, and it is just the greatest place to do all your holiday shopping for people in your life who really could use a new tablet or new phone or something like that. Sometimes you have people who have a kind of mentality about smartphones, maybe a relative or a good friend who basically accept a really terrible device. And they're like, oh, I don't want to spend the money. Get them an awesome smartphone. If you watch the show, I'm sure you're into technology, you're in a position to know what would be a great device for that person. And of course, with Gazelle, you can buy a great guaranteed device at a much lower price than you could get it anywhere else. So give a new life to use electronics. Trade in for cash or buy certified pre-owned. Visit Gazelle.com today, and we thank Gazelle for their support of Tech News Today. And once again, go to Gazelle and do your holiday shopping at Gazelle. A Swedish court ruled that the Pirate Bay torrent site cannot be blocked in Sweden. The ruling was a big blow to Universal Music, Sony Music, Warner Music, Nordisk Film, and the Swedish film industry, which are all trying to force a major Swedish ISP to block the site and also be held responsible for any copyright infringement. This is, I don't know, I think this is pretty good news, although I think the Pirate Bay doesn't really need this ruling. They're able to tuck their servers in various countries all over the world, and they've been pretty good at evading shutdown in general. But the saga about what the Pirate Bay has gone through over the last couple of years, Lindsey Turrentine, including the founders being jailed, et cetera, is somebody should make a movie about this. Of course, it would be pirated heavily, but still, somebody should make a movie.
Yeah. Well, that might be great. That might be a great marketing tactic for this movie, actually, right? I mean, it hasn't Game of Thrones. That team has basically said, like, we don't care if you pirate Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
This is how we get the word out. But yeah, I mean, it's a Swedish court. It's not the largest court in the world. It sets a precedent, and I'm sure that Universal and Sony and everyone will fight it like crazy because they don't want that precedent.
They do not. But, you can't stop peer-to-peer services. You can't stop people from downloading files. It's just not the way the internet works. Well, our TNT fan of the day is Tim Wells in Mariota, Ohio, who posted this picture on Twitter. He's watching TNT live on his Apple TV on his day off.
Aww.
Yeah. Show us how
it's a great way to spend your day off.
It certainly is. It absolutely is. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. And please use the hashtag #HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. Well, now that reality has struck again, Lindsey Turrentine, what are you working on this week?
Oh, we are we're tracking all the tech deals on Cyber Monday and throughout the whole week. I don't know if you know, but Cyber Monday is not as much of a thing as it used to be, but it's still a little bit of a thing. We're keeping track of everything we can find, and we're just going to keep doing that for the next few days. And then we've got some other exciting stuff in the can. We have to wait for that.
Yeah, I think Cyber Monday and Black Friday have become, I think it's over. I mean, it's not over in the sense that people have stopped doing it, but it's over in the sense that it has stopped being a good thing in any way. And, I think that, Cyber Monday doesn't take place on Monday, for example. There are deals all year long, and a lot of it is kind of a rip-off. And Black Friday, I was looking at some of the videos of people attacking each other and being hideous. And Black Friday is spreading, and the New York Times had a big piece about how it's come to the UK, and now British people who are known for their polite queuing are scratching each other's eyes out to fighting over a TV and so on. It's just, the whole thing is just pretty awful, and I for one am completely done with it, all of it.
You're just going to stop buying anything ever.
Anything associated with Black Friday or Cyber Monday, I'll look for good deals.
Choose another day.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's not worth getting in fights over and stuff like that.
Oh, no, that's ridiculous. I don't even, to be honest, I think it still happens, but it's extremely rare. And I think most producers have to look pretty hard to find that kind of madness.
Real? It's hard to put get a sense of how common it is. But I saw videos taken on Friday that showed 30 incidents of people like throwing blows and stuff like that. Over, just arguing over some product.
Crazy.
Yes, totally crazy. Well, Lindsey Turrentine, thank you so much for commenting today. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right, bye-bye. You can subscribe to Tech News Today by going to twit.tv/TNT. You can watch us live every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1700 UTC at twit.tv/live. You can follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV, or you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/mike.elgan. Also, don't miss our other new show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weekday. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tech News Today. The show is produced by Jason Cleanthes and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.